The Iditarod Trail Sled Dog Race is an annual long-distance sled dog race run in early March from Settlers Bay to Nome, which takes place entirely in the U.S. state of Alaska. Mushers and a team of 21 dogs, of which at least 6 must be on the towline at the finish line, covered the distance in 9 to 15 days or more. The Iditarod began in 1973 as an event to test the best sled dog mushers and teams, but evolved into today's highly competitive race. The current fastest winning time record was set in 2016 by Dallas Seavey with a time of 8 days, 11 hours, 20 minutes, and 16 seconds. As of 2012, Dallas Seavey was also the youngest musher to win the race at the age of 25, while as of 2013, at the age of 53, Darla's father Mitch Seavey was the oldest person to ever win the race. Teams generally race through blizzards causing whiteout conditions, sub-zero temperatures and gale-force winds which can cause the wind chill to reach -100 degrees Fahrenheit. A ceremonial start occurs in the city of Anchorage and is followed by the official restart in Willow, a city 80 miles north of Anchorage. The restart was originally in Whistler, but because of too little snow, the restart was permanently moved to Willow in 2008. The trail runs from Willow up the rainy pass of the Alaska Range into the sparsely populated interior, and then along the shore of the Bering Sea, finally reaching Nome in western Alaska. The trail is through a harsh landscape of tundra and spruce forests, over hills and mountain passes, and across rivers. While the start in Anchorage is in the middle of a large urban center, most of the route passes through widely separated towns and villages, and small Athabascan and Inupiat settlements. The Iditarod is regarded as a symbolic link to the early history of the state and is connected to many traditions commemorating the legacy of dog mushing. The race is a very important and popular sporting event in Alaska, and the top mushers and the teams of dogs are local celebrities. This popularity is credited with the resurgence of recreational mushing in the state since the 1970s. While the yearly field of more than 50 mushers and about 1,000 dogs is still largely Alaskan, competitors from 14 countries have completed the event, including the Swiss Martin Buser, who became the first international winner in 1992. The Iditarod received more attention outside of the state after the 1985 victory of Libby Riddles, a long shot who became the first woman to win the race. The next year, Susan Butcher became the second woman to win the race and went on to win 3 more years. Print and television journalists and crowds of spectators attend the ceremonial start at the intersection of 4th Avenue and D Street in Anchorage, and in smaller numbers at the checkpoints along the trail. Name: the race is namesake as the Iditarod Trail, which was designated as one of the first 4 U.S. National Historic Trails in 1978. The trail in turn is named for the town of Iditarod, which was an Athabascan village before becoming the center of the Inland Empire's Iditarod mining district in 1910, and then becoming a ghost town at the end of the local gold rush. The name Iditarod may be derived from the Athabascan Iditarod, meaning far distant place. History: portions of the Iditarod Trail were used by the native Alaskan Eskimo and Inupiaq and Athabascan peoples hundreds of years before the arrival of Russian fur traders in the 1800s, but the trail reached its peak between the late 1880s and the mid-1920s as miners arrived to dig coal and later gold, especially after the Alaska gold rushes at Nome in 1898, and at the Inland Empire along the Kuskokwim Mountains between Yukon and Kuskokwim rivers. In 1908, the primary communication and transportation link to the rest of the world during the summer was the steamship, but between October and June, the northern ports like Nome became icebound, and dog sleds delivered mail, firewood, mining equipment, gold ore, food, furs, and other needed supplies between the trading posts and settlements across the interior and along the western coast. Roadhouses where travelers could spend the night sprang up every 14 to 30 miles until the end of the 1920s, when the mail carriers were replaced by bush pilots flying small aircraft and the roadhouses vanished. Dog sledding persisted in the rural parts of Alaska, but was almost driven into extinction by the spread of snowmobiles in the 1960s. During its heyday, mushing was also a popular sport during the winter, when mining towns shut down. The first major competition was the tremendously popular 1908 All-Alaska Sweepstakes, which was started by Scotty Alexander Allen, and ran 408 miles from Nome to Kangal and back. The event introduced the first Siberian Huskies to Alaska in 1910, where they quickly became the favored racing dog, replacing the Alaskan Malamute and mongrels bred from imported Huskies and other large breeds, like setters and pointers. In 1914, the Norwegian immigrant Leonhard Seppala first appeared, and went on to win the race in 1915, 1916, and 1917. Before the race was discontinued in 1918 during World War I. The most famous event in the history of Alaskan mushing is the 1925 Serum Run to Nome, also known as the Great Race of Mercy. A large diphtheria epidemic threatened Nome, and Nome's supply of antitoxin had expired, and Dr. Curtis Welch refused to use it, and then proceeded to send out telegrams looking for a fresh supply of antitoxin. The nearest antitoxin was found to be in Anchorage, nearly 1,000 miles away. The only way to get the antitoxin to Nome was by sled dog. Due to unusable planes and ships, Governor Scott Bone approved a safe route, and the 20-pound cylinder of serum was sent by train 298 miles from the southern port of Seward to Nenana, where it was passed just before midnight on January 27th to the first of 20 mushers and more than 100 dogs who relayed the package 674 miles. From Nenana to Nome, the dogs ran in relays, with no dog running over 100 miles. The Norwegian gunner Carson and his lead dog Balto arrived on Front Street in Nome on February 2nd at 5:30 a.m. Just 5.5 days later, the two became media celebrities, and a statue of Balto was erected in Central Park in New York City in 1925, where it has become one of the most popular tourist attractions. However, most mushers consider Leonhard Seppala and his lead dog Togo to be the true heroes of the run. Together they covered the most hazardous stretch of the route, and carried the serum 91 miles, the single farthest of any team. In 1964, the Whistler-Nick Centennial Committee was created to honor the 100th anniversary of Alaska's induction into the United States of America. From Russia, Dorothy G. Page, the chairman of the committee, had the original idea to race a portion of the Iditarod Trail. Joe Reddington Sr. and his wife Vi were Page's first true support, and with volunteer support they cleared up a portion of the trail. The first race, known as the Iditarod Trail Seppala Memorial Race in honor of Leonhard Seppala, was held in 1967. The purse of USD $25,000 attracted a field of 58 races, and the winner was Isaac O'Klesick. The next race, in 1968, was cancelled for lack of snow, and 1969's small $1,000 purse only drew in 12 mushers. Reddington, along with two school teachers, Gleo Hike and Tom Johnson, was the impetus behind extending the race more than 1,000 miles along the historic route to Nome. The three co-founders of the race started in October 1972 to plan began the now famous race. A major fundraising campaign which raised a purse of $51,000 was also started at the same time. This race was the first true Iditarod race and was held in 1973, and attracted a field of 34 mushers, 22 of whom completed the race. Dorothy Page had nothing to do with the 1973 race, stating that she washes her hands of the event. The event was a success, even though the purse dropped in the 1974 race. The popularity caused the field of mushers to rise to 44, and corporate sponsorship in 1975 put the race on secure financial footing. Despite the loss of sponsors during a dog abuse scandal in 1976, the Iditarod caused a resurgence of recreational mushing in the 1970s, and has continued to grow until it is now the largest sporting event in the state. The race was originally patterned after the All-Alaska Sweepstakes races held early in the 20th century. The main route of the Iditarod Trail extends 938 miles from Seward in the south to Nome in the northwest, and was first surveyed by Walter Goodwin in 1908, and then cleared and marked by the Alaska Road Commission in 1910 and 1911. The entire network of branching paths covers a total of 2,450 miles. Except for the start in Anchorage, the modern race follows parts of the historic trail.